So yesterday I have briefed you about the first part of this second unit, that is liquid transport system, and then I discuss about the pipes, different type of pumps. So today in this lecture I'll speak about two uh, sub part of this unit, that is the property of the liquid and handling system for the Newtonian fluids. So I'm coming to this property of the liquid. So yesterday I have briefed you about the property of the liquid. So to understand the property of the liquid, first we need to understand what is the behavior of elastic material, plastic material, and later I'll talk about fluid. So yesterday also I have given you a brief idea that elastic material is one. When we put some kind of force or when we apply a stress, then deformation takes place, and as we remove the applied force, it regains the original shape or original position. That will be termed as elastic material. In case of plastic material, when we apply the force, then there is a deformation, and upon relieving that applied force, it doesn't regain the original shape. Then we say it is a plastic. So what fluid exactly is? Fluid is something when you apply the force or you apply the shear stress or the stress, then it starts flowing and it doesn't come back to the original situation, positions. So that will be termed as fluids. So fluid are of two types. One is the incompressible fluid and second is the compressible fluids. So most of the liquids are incompressible fluids and gases we can take as a compressible fluids. So there are two main property of the liquid or the fluids that we should understand under the heading of this fluid flow. Number one, the density, and number two is the viscosity. So density, I think everybody knows, it is simply the mass per unit volume, or specifically we can say it is the mass of unit volume. Mass unit volume of 1 kg mass, you can say, or I'll talk it a bit more easy, mass per unit volume, and it is expressed in kg per meter cube. And in the SI system, it is maximum at 4 degrees centigrade. I mean to say that there is an impact of temperature on the density. As you will increase the temperature for the water sample, the density will decrease as you will increase the temperatures. So this is about density. Now I'm coming to the term viscosity. So viscosity we have studied since our 12th classes, that the property of the fluid to oppose the flow, that is known as viscosity. So what exactly inside the fluid that oppose the flow? These are the viscous forces. When you will study the liquids in detail, then you will find that liquid that is traveling through a pipe or any conduit is traveling in the layers, and due to that viscous forces, that has means any liquid that is having a viscosity more than one, that viscous forces oppose in the same direction, in the opposite direction and in the parallel manner. Like when you apply the shear stress, then it is in the parallel motion, and the viscous force will also be in the parallel but in the opposite directions. So technically, the relative movement of one layer of the fluid over another is due to the force commonly called as shear force, which is applied in a direction parallel to the surface over which it acts. From the Newton's second law of motion, a resistance force is offered by the fluid to movement and in the opposite direction to the shearing force, and it must also act in the direction parallel to the surface between the layer. This resistance force is a measure of an important property that is called as viscosity. So here in this diagram you will see I have shown two pictures. One is the normal stress and another is the shear stress. So normal stress is simply when you are applying the force towards the object, means at a right angle to the cross section, then it will oppose the applied force in the opposite direction and at the right angle. And in case of shear stress, the direction of applied force is parallel to the surface of the object. So here you can see the applied force is parallel to the surface. So in this diagram, in this particular handwritten note, I'll explain how you can derive the value of viscosity. So to understand it properly, you can consider these are the 52 playing cards. Everybody used to play playing cards, and now they have been stacked vertically, means in a rectangular form, and then we apply a certain amount of force from this side. So there will be a deviation or there will be a deformation, and we can observe a notch kind of appearance will develop here. So the tangent of this deflected angle, this is known as tan theta or tan alpha, you can say. Tangent of this angle is the measure of shear strain. So this sigma or the tau, you can say, it is the symbol for shear stress. When you apply shear stress, it will induce a strain, and that is known as shear strain, and this can be given by tangent of this angle, tangent alpha, and the value of tangent alpha will be dx upon dr. If this value I have taken as dr, I can take here dy also, then it will be dx upon dy, but I have taken here dr. So this is known as shear strain. If we divide this value with time, or if we take this value per unit time, then that value will be the shear rate or rate of shear. So dx by dt into dr, this value will be your shear rate, and dx by dt, everybody knows it is equal to velocity. So in place of dx by dt, we can take dv, and finally we'll get the value dv over dr. So dv over dr is the value of shear rate. So when you plot a graph between shear stress and shear rate, and if you observe a straight line, that fluid is known as Newtonian fluid. If any deviation is there from the straight line, that fluid will be termed as non-Newtonian fluid, and the slope of this angle will give you the value of uh, coefficient of viscosity. So for the Newtonian fluids, we can say that the stress is directly proportional to shear rate, and when you remove the proportionality sign, you put the value of a constant, and this constant is known as coefficient of viscosity. I hope you have understand it. So the value of viscosity can be given by these equations. Sigma is equal to mu into dv over dr. Why we have taken negative sign? Because the if we observe the playing card also or the water also, then when you apply the force, then the particle those are in the top will accelerate at a faster rate, and the velocity of the particle in the top will be maximum comparative to the particle those are lying down. Like I have shown some here. This is the arrow which is indicating the particle here were have traveled at a very faster rate. So the velocity of the particle was maximum here. As we are moving towards down, let's see, this is a pipe, and in the center of the pipe, the particle will accelerate at a maximum speed comparative to the particle those are near to the periphery or those are near to the pipe or this pipe wall, you can say. So here we assume that there is a very less moment or almost negligible velocity. So mu is the coefficient of viscosity, or simply you can say it is absolute viscosity or dynamic viscosity. And sigma is the symbol. It is for the shear stress. dv over dy. Here he has taken dv over dy for the shear rate, and mu is the coefficient of viscosity. So we know this shear stress is force per unit area, and the Newton is the unit for force, and meter square is the unit of area. So Newton per meter square is equal to Pascal, and 1 Pascal is equal to 10 dyne per centimeters, and we generally use to express this as Pascal seconds. The viscosity has been explained in Pascal seconds. 10,000 millipascal second is equal to 1 Pascal second. So here you can see, if I'm able to put them up, then just wait. I have kept in the footnote, but I think it will not appear if I'll do the slideshow. So as I said, the unit of this viscosity generally we take as a Pascal second. So the coefficient of viscosity is expressed in Pascal second, and Pascal second is Newton per meter square is the Pascal into second. So the unit of viscosity can also be kg per meter second. So how it can be kg per meter second? Because this is the force and Newton is representing the unit of the force. So in place of force we can write here MA. Force is also equal to mg or ma, mass into acceleration, and acceleration is equal to dv over dt, velocity upon time, and velocity is dx by dt, distance upon time. Okay, so when you will solve you will find out the value of this force, then it will be m. For the m we can write here kg, and for accelerations we can write meter divided by second square. So here we can write kg meter per second square and into second. Kg meter per second square, it is the value of the force, divided by meter square that I have put here. See, this kg meter divided by second square, it is for the force, and when I'll put the value of force in this equation, then it will be kg meter per second square into meter square, because it was force per unit area whole multiplied with second. So when you will solve it, finally it will come to your kg per meter second. So nutshell, I wish to say that you can explain or you can express the viscosity either Pascal second as well as kg per meter second. This is another unit of the viscosity, poise. Poise is simply the dynes per centimeter squares, and 1 poise is equal to 0.1 Pascal second, and 1 centipoise is equal to 1 milli Pascal second. There is another viscosity that is known as kinematic viscosity, and kinematic viscosity is simply the ratio of dynamic viscosity divided by density. If you will divide this mu upon rho, then it will give you the value of kinematic viscosity. So to understand it, we have learned that the this can be the unit of kg per meter second, can be the unit of mu, and when you divide it with the rho is some mass per unit volume. So the value of this kinematic viscosity will be meter square per second, and it is expressed in the Stokes. 1 Stokes is equal to 100 centistokes, and 1 centistoke is equal to 1 mm square by second. So this is bit about viscosity. Now I'm going to explain you the handling system, and in the handling system there is a equation of continuity. To understand the equation of continuity, we have drawn a pipe. This pipe is not a horizontal pipe. See this, the cross section area of the pipe is also increasing, as well as the elevation of the pipe is also increasing. So at any time t, a liquid is flowing through the pipe, and initially the liquid was between the your x and x dex. Liquid was here when at any time, after a small time change del t, the liquid has traveled from this y to y dash. So according to this mass of conservations, the amount of liquid that is here will equal to amount of liquid that is here. So this can be given by these equations. Before understanding these equations, I'll help you to understand this. First, you please read about these formulas. Density is what? It is mass divided by volume. What is mass? Mass you can calculate with the help of this formula, density into volume. And to calculate the volume, how you will calculate volume? Area into height, that will be volume. And what is volumetric flow rate? volume per unit time. I hope you understand. So let this, a liquid is coming inside and that liquid has entered here, and it will displace the same amount of liquid. So the amount of liquid in this section will equal to the amount of liquid in this section, provided the liquid that is traveling is a incompressible liquid and there is no change in volume by applying the force. So here we have calculated the mass of the liquid that is available in this zone. It is equal to rho 1 A1 del x1. So A1 is the cross section area of the pipe on this side and del x1 is the displacement. So this cross section area into height, it is the volume, and rho 1 we have assumed it is the density of the liquid. So when you will multiply density with the volume, then it will give you the value of mass. So same on this side, we have assumed that the cross section area of the pipe here is your A2, and the displacement that has taken place is del x2. So when you multiply this del x2 into A2 with the value of this, what you say, density, then it is the mass representation of this chunk. So both of these are will be equal. Now in the next step we will divide it with del t. So when you will divide it with del t, then it will be del x by del t. So it will be velocity. So from here we will obtain the value rho 1 a1 v1 equal to rho 2 a2 v2. So this v1 is the mu bar, or v bar is the, here it should be generally we write v, but in this book they have written mu bar. It is average velocity. So this equation is known as equation of continuity. So this rho into a into v bar is the mass flow rate. Why it is mass flow rate? Because when you multiply this area into velocity, it is volume, and volume multiplied with density will equal to mass. So this is the total mass per unit time. For incompressible fluids, the density remain constant, as I said. So we can we can say that rho 1 will equal to rho 2. So finally we will get a equation A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2, and this A1 V1 is known as volumetric flow rate. So whenever we have been asked what is the equation of continuity, our answer should be that A1 V1 of, like any pipe of any diameter, A1 V1 at any times will equal to A2 V2 of the pipe at any locations. That is known as equation of continuity. Now I'm coming to the next part, that is known as Reynolds number, and this is a dimensionless number, and this number has a great significance in the fluid flow. If it is less than 2100, then we say the flow will be laminar flow. Laminar flow means, you can see in this picture there is a straight line. I think you may have experienced in your hostel or in your kitchen, when you will open the tap slowly, then the water will come in a straight line. As you will, you can say release, or you can say turn the tap more, means you increase the flow, then you will observe there is a zigzag path, and as you open completely, then it come in a very random order. So simply that is due to Reynolds number, and if the Reynolds number is 20 less than 2100, then we say it is a laminar flow. If it is between 4000 and 2100, then we'll say it is a transitional flow. And if the Reynolds number increases more than 4000, then we say it as a turbulent flow. So what Reynolds number actually is, in the liquid, when a liquid is moving, there are the two forces. One is the inertial forces. Inertial forces propel the liquid in the forward directions, and there is a viscous force that oppose these forces, or that oppose the movement. So it is a ratio of inertial forces divided by viscous forces. So simply the Reynolds number can be given by rho v d by mu. So rho is the density, v is the velocity, d is the diameter of the pipe. So if the velocity will increase, the value of Reynolds number will increase. I think you can understand now how this water that is coming from the tap, so the zigzag path as you open it more, because the velocity of the liquid is increasing. As the velocity of the liquid will increase, Reynolds number will increase, and this laminar flow will convert it into turbulent flow. There is another formula by using that we can, by taking the value of this from the previous equations, these equations, we can put the value of rho is equal to m divided by a v bar, and then we will able to calculate this value. If you find success how we have taken the value of Reynolds number equal to 4 this mass flow rate divided by mu by d, you please try to calculate. If you don't get success, I'll help you in the next slide. So to conduct this experiment, a dye was injected in a flowing fluid. So this dye was not miscible with the fluids. So it was observed that if it is moving at less than 2100, then the dye is also traveling in the straight. As the if it is moving more than this, then the dye was traveling to straight to a little length, smaller length, and after that there is a axial, or you can say radial flow also. This is the axial flow, means it is going straight and smoothly, and here there is a radial flow also, means dye is traveling up down. And in case of turbulent flow, this dye will start doing zigzag motion immediately after releasing the pipe. So this is the experiment which was conducted by this Osborne Reynolds. He was a British physicist, engineer, as well as a educator. So simply from the Reynolds numbers, we determine whether the flow is laminar flow or turbulent flow. Turbulent means zigzag and laminar means smooth. And now I'm coming to the next part, that is the entrance region and the fully developed flow. So when a liquid is transported via a pipe, so there are the two region. One is the entrance region and another is the fully developed regions. So here the velocity profile or the velocity of the liquid behave differently, and here the velocity profile is different. So entrance region has a particular length, and this length depend on the your Reynolds number. If it is a laminar flow, this length upon diameter ratio, length upon diameter of the pipe will equal to 0.06 time of Reynolds number. If it is a laminar flow, if somebody asks what will be the length of the entrance region if a liquid is flowing under the laminar flow conditions, then you can simply calculate it by calculating the dia of the pipe, and then you can multiply it with the 0.06 time of Reynolds number. And if it is a turbulent flow, then we can calculate this length, this entrance region length, by using this formula 4.4 times Reynolds number raised to power 1 by 6. So what is the difference here? You can see here it is fully developed region, and in this region it has been shown that the liquid which is traveling, or the liquid particle which are in the center of the pipe, they are moving at the faster speed comparison to others. Those are in the periphery, they are showing very less movement or negligible movement, and the velocity of the particles, those are away from the center, their velocity is continuously decreasing. This is a velocity gradient, means it is maximum in the center, and as you move away from the center it will decrease. So it's all about from this entrance region and fully developed flow. Now I'm coming to the velocity profile in a liquid flowing under fully developed flow conditions. So we will determine the velocity profile or in a fluid flowing in a straight horizontal pipe on a constant diameter under fully developed laminar flow conditions. So what we have assumed, we are assumed that there is a pipe, and this pipe has a constant diameter. Fine. D is the diameter of the pipe, and capital R is the radius of the pipe. And this is a horizontal pipe through which a liquid is flowing and it is in the laminar flow conditions. Number two, the regions where we will determine the velocity, it is a fully developed regions. We are not considering the entrance region because to determine the velocity in the entrance region is not possible or is very complicated. So we are taking the simple example. So to determine the velocity, we are assuming a small cylinder inside the pipe. You can see this AB. This is the small cylinder. On the top, you can see it looking like this. This is the a small cylinder we have isolated or we have assumed, you can say, having the radius small r, and at any time t it was here, and after time del t it has shifted from a dash to b dash like this. Fine. So we will calculate. See, whenever we talk about the flow of the fluid is always due to the pressure difference. You might have seen that water is coming to the CNR from a distant region. It is around 25 or 15 kilometer away, and we are achieving the flow of the water under the effect of gravity because the water source is at a very high level and we at CNR at a low elevation level. So we can easily achieve that flow of the water because the potential energy at the top of the hill is very high and down there it is less. So the pressure of at the top is high, and here as it is coming down the pressure is decreasing. So always there is the movement of the fluid is from high pressure to low pressures. So we assume that this cross section area is the A, and here a pressure exit, that is PA, and here we say that is that there may be a pressure that will be PB, and we can say PA minus PB is equal to del P. So PB will also equal to PA minus del P. I think you understand because this is the value of PB. PA minus PB is equal to del P, then PB will equal to PA minus del P. So the point here to understand is that there are certain forces which are acting on this cylinder, imaginary cylinder. This cylinder is having a radius small r, length L. So the force which is acting on this side is, we said that PA is the pressure and pressure is something force per unit area. So if we wish to calculate the force on this side, then it will be pressure time area. So here pressure is PA and area of cross section of this pipe is pi r square because we have considered the small radius r. So PA pi r square is the pressure on the force on this side. PA minus del P pi r square is the pressure that is in the opposite direction of this force. This PA minus del P into pi r square is the force in the opposite end. And there is another viscous force that is acting on the this what do you say this, on the circumference or on the outer surface of the cylinder, and this is shear stress. Shear stress time your area of the circumferential area of this cylinder, that is 2 pi r L. 2 pi r L is the circumferential area of the cylinder. When you will multiply it with the shear stress, it will give you the value of force. So this force is working in the forward direction and these two forces are working in the opposite directions. Fine. So at any time t, we can say that the net force on the liquid will be zero. Why net force will be zero? Because force is equal to mass into acceleration, and acceleration is dv over dt, that how velocity is changing per unit time, but there is no change in the, sorry, there is no change in the velocity over time. So we can say that this acceleration is zero, that's why this force is also zero. So now I'm coming to the next slide. So as I have said that we have already calculated the force which are acting on the cross section, vertical cross sections at location A. The pressure force is Pa pi r square. At point B it is Pa minus del P pi r square. On the circumferential area it is your sigma 2 pi r l. So the net force is equal to 0. So if we will, this is the forward force and these two are in the opposite directions, so this should be equal to 0. So from these equations we can find out the value of del P by L equal to 2 sigma by R. How I have obtained this value, I'll try to help by the next page. See, this is Pa pi r square minus Pa minus del P pi r square minus sigma 2 pi r L equal to 0. So in the next step, what I'll do, I'll shift this value on the right hand side. So this negative sign will change into positive. So here we'll get the value sigma 2 pi rl. Okay, what left here? I can take common pi r square. If I'll keep the pi r square out of the bracket, then here what I'll left with Pa minus Pa plus del P. Pa will cancel Pa, fine. And from this pi r square, we can cancel this pi r and only r will left here. Pi r square means pi r r. So 1 pi r will be cancelled with this pi r and only r will be here. So from here we'll get the value r into del P, and from this side we get the value of this 2 sigma L. So by rearranging we can write del P by L equal to 2 sigma divided by r. See, del P by L 2 sigma divided by r. I think you understand. Yeah. Then we know that the value of this viscosity is minus mu dV over dr. So in the next step, we will put the value of viscosity in this equation. And when I'll put the value of viscosity in this equation, del P over L, then 2 times minus mu dV dr divided by r. In the next page, you will see it. So I think I should switch to the next page, then only you will be able to understand. Here, del P by L, it is equal to minus 2, and in place of sigma, I have written the value of viscosity mu dV over dr divided by r. So what I'll do, I'll take this 2 on this left hand side. So it will be 2L mu. I have shifted this 2 mu on the left hand side, that these are the constant values, na? Del P by 2 L mu, and I'll shift this R also on this side. On this side, what I'll left with minus dV over dr. So from here, I can find out the value of dV, and to find out the value of dV, I'll shift this negative sign on this side, and I'll also shift this R on the with this, sorry, this del P value. So this is the next step, dV. This is the next step from this equation. So I have kept this dV here. I have shifted dr on that side and negative sign also on this side. So finally I'll get the value of dV is equal to del P by 2L mu into r dr. When I'll integrate it from 0 to r, then this rdr upon integrations, rdr when you will solve it will be r square by 2 x dx. You may have understand, or I think if you don't understand, then please learn it, and it will be a end up with constant. So from here we will get the value of Vr, means to say that dV is the velocity of the moving fluid throughout the length of the radius 0 to r. At any radius, the velocity value will equal to this whole value del P by 2 L mu in the negative sign into r square by 2 plus constant. Now we can find out the value of constant from these equations. And how we will find out the value of the constant? We will simply put the conditions that V will be 0 if R is equal to capital R. Why it will be so? Let me show the diagram. See, these arrows are indicating the velocity profile. What I am saying, this middle arrow is indicating that it is showing the maximum velocity. So I'm saying that if this small r is equal to capital R means now I'm considering the liquid which is flowing here. So there is a negligible movement of this liquid particle who is near to this pipe wall. So I'm saying that V will be 0. Velocity will equal to almost 0 if R is equal to capital R. And these conditions I have considered here, that V will be 0 when R is equal to capital R. So I put the value V is equal to 0 and del P to L mu R square by 2. So in place of small r, I have taken capital R because I am taking the boundary conditions R, and this 2 will be multiplied with this 2. So finally I'll end up with the value of C. C will be del P for L mu R square, because if I'll take it on that left hand side, then this negative sign will be removed. In the next step, now I'll put the value of this constant. I'll put the value of this constant in this equation, and by solving these equations, what will be the common? I think del P by 4 L mu will be the common, and the next step I can derive this one, del P by 4 L mu R square minus small r square. I think you will help me to say yes, because this is the V and it is equal to minus del P by 2 L mu R square by 2 plus C. Now I'll put the value of C. This is the value of the C, and in these two terms what is common? Del P by 4 L mu. If you will multiply this 2 with 2 L mu, it will be 4 L mu. So this del P by 4 L mu will be common, and R square minus small r square, that I have shown on the next page. This will be the next step. So this is the value of your velocity in the, this is known as point velocity. Now, okay, yeah, I can further, yeah, I can take r square common, and it can be written like this: 1 minus r upon capital R raised to power 2. When r is equal to 0, then V is equal to V max, and we can write it like this: del P R square by 4 L mu. Yeah, if r is equal to 0, if r is equal to 0, then 0 divided by r, the whole equation, it will come to 1, and 1 multiplied with r square. So we will end up with V max equal to this. This is the one way by which we can calculate the V max. Next, I'll solve in the coming explanations. So till now we have started with the flowing fluids. And in the flowing fluid, I said that I have considered the impact of pressure only. I am saying that the flow of the fluid is due to the pressure only, because the flow is induced either by the mechanical energy, that is a pressure kind of thing, and another is the gravitational force. But here in this case, this is a horizontal pipe, so we can neglect the effect of gravity on this horizontal pipe. That's why I am considering only the pressure. The pressures, those are pushing this liquid towards forward motions, and there are some pressures or the forces which are opposing, and then I'll set up a balance. So now I have calculated a velocity in this particular regions. Now I'll calculate the average velocity. How to determine the average velocity? I think till now it is clear. V is equal to r square minus r square. Now I'm saying that by using these equations, I'll calculate the volumetric flow rate. Means how much volume per unit time is flowing through the pipe, and the volumetric flow rate, as I said, it is simply the area into velocity. How it is area into velocity? Because the dimension of the area is meter square and the velocity is calculated in meter per second. So when you will calculate or multiply meter square with meter, then it will come to meter cube per second. Meter cube is the unit of volume. That's why we say this is volume per unit time. So area into velocity is volumetric flow rate. So volumetric flow rate is generally represented by capital V dot. This is the symbol for the volumetric flow rate, and it is given by velocity Vr into dA. dA is the small area of the any thickness of ring. So when you multiply this VA, VR, let in the previous equations we have calculated VR, and if I multiply it with the dA, then I can calculate the volumetric flow rate. So in this liquid, again coming on the same topic, let me assume a small thickness. This ring has a small thickness dr. dr. R is the radius till here, and this ring has a thickness dr. Please understand the concept. From center to periphery, the total distance is r plus dr, because the thickness of the ring is dr. So if I find the volumetric flow rate of this small thickness, then by integrating it from 0 to capital R, I can find out the value of volumetric flow rate of the flowing fluid in the pipe at any time. See, VR I have calculated. Now I will calculate the value of dA. dA is the cross section area, and how to calculate this dA? dA will be this area, the area between these two lines. So to calculate the area, first I'll take the area of the outer ring, then I'll take the area of the inner ring, then I'll minus the area of the inner ring from the area of the outer ring. The remaining area will be, you can say, it will represent the area of this dA. I think, should I re-explain? See, this is the small distance r, small r. This is the radius of the inner ring. Over this small r, there is a small thickness, that is dr. So we have to calculate the area of the small thickness. So to calculate the area of the small thickness, first we will calculate the area of the outer ring. Then we will minus area of the inner ring. The remaining quantity will represent area of this small thickness. So what is the area of the outer circle? Pi into r plus dr square, whole square, minus pi r square is the area of the. So when you will open this bracket, you may have studied a plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab in your classes. So it will be r square dr square plus 2r dr. Multi out in the outer side there is a pi. So when you will open it, it will be pi r square, it will be pi dr square, it will be 2 pi r dr minus pi r square. So pi r square will cancel pi r square, and dr square is very small quantity, and if you will do the square of that small quantity, let assume we have 0.001, and if we have been asked what will be the square of 0.001. So if we do the square of 0.001, then the answer will be 0.00001, means 2 more 0, means there is a small quantity, and if we are doing square of that small quantity, that will be negligible. That's why we have neglected it. So finally we end up with the area of this particular zone is 2 pi r dr. So 2 pi r dr is the area, v r the velocity. The velocity is that we have calculated, del p by 4l mu into r square minus small r square. So in the next step, I'll put the value of VR here, del P by 4L mu into R square minus R square. From here I have taken, multiplied with 2 pi R dr, and it is equal to V bar pi R square. V bar is the average velocity that we are going to calculate into pi R square. Pi R square is the total area of the pipe. This area. See, this is the capital R. No? So this is the total cross section area of the pipe, and V bar will represent the average velocity of the flowing fluids. So we can calculate the average velocity of the flowing fluid by these equations, by VR dA. VR dA is the area of the small thickness ring, area of the small thickness of the ring, and V is the velocity at any point. So now we have these two values, and we can equate with this pi r square. So to simplify it, First we will remove the constant one side. Let del p 4l mu is here na. So we will shift this 2 pi also. This 2 pi have nothing to do, it is constant. Allah. Yeah, Dr. Sikh. Just a minute, my battery. Just a minute, I am not able to. Yes, please. So after this, the next step is I have shifted this 2 pi here and it is 2 pi del p 4l mu as it is. This step is as it is. Here we left with rdr, and rdr is r square by 2 plus constant in that case when we were integrating. But if you are solving it individually, it will come to r square by 2. If it is r square dr, then it will be r raised to power 3 by 3. If it is r raised to power 4 dr, then it will be r raised to power 5 by 5. So this is the rule of integration. So in the next step, I have solved this rdr is equal to r square by 2. So here it is now r square by 2. Now I'll open the bracket. In the next step, this value is as it is. This r square will be multiplied with this r square by 2. And here if you will multiply this, it will come to r square by 2, and when you multiply it with r square, then it will come to r raised to 4 by 4. Why this come r raised to 4 by 4? You can take it like this. This is r square r dr. So here it is r raised to power 3 and here it is dr. So when you are solving it, it comes to r raised to power 4 by 4. If you have any doubt, you can ask me later. Let me move on. So from here we have solved the equations that r square into small r square by 2 minus small r square raised to power 4 by 4. Now we will integrate it from 0 to capital R. When we are integrating, this value will be as it is here, no change. So when we are integrating it from 0 to R, then for the small r, once we will take capital R and once we will take 0. So it has no meaning. Simply you can say that during integrations we will replace this small r with the capital R. So when you will replace with this capital R, it will be r raised to power 2 and here it is r raised to power 4. So this r raised to power base is same, then power will be added. So here in the next step from here, it will be r raised to power 4 divided by 2 minus r raised to power 4 by 4. Fine. If you will solve it, then it will come equal to, see, from here you can take this r raised to power 4 common, 1 by 2 minus 1 by 4. If you will solve this 1 minus 2 by 1 by 4, it will be 1 by 8. 1 by 4, sorry. So finally you will get this value as it is, then r square into r. So here it will be a value of del p pi. How I cancel this pi? Yeah. I cancel this 2 into 2, 2 to 4. So I have cancelled this 4, this value 4. So del p pi and into capital R square 8l mu is equal to v bar pi r square, this value. So from here we will find out the value of v bar, and v bar will equal to, see, this is the next step. V bar pi capital R square is equal to 8 del p pi r raised to power, I think 4. What it is? Yeah, r raised to power 4 divided by 8 L mu. See, this is r raised to power 4. So we will cancel the common term on both sides. Pi will cancel pi, and this r square will cancel this r raised to power 4. If I'll cancel this r raised to power 4, we will end only with, means the only left quantity will be r squares. So v bar finally will equal to del p is the left, and here we left with only r square divided by 8l. So this is the value of your v bar. Now we will take the ratio of v and v bar. V by v bar is equal to del p by 4l mu into r square minus small r square. This is the value of the v, divided by del p r square divided by 8l mu. This is the value of v bar. this is the value of V bar, and this is the value of V. So when you will solve it, you will end up with, see how you will solve it. Let's see, V is equal to, we can shift this V bar on this side. V is equal to V bar del P. Del P here, del P by 4L mu into R square minus R square as it is. Now I have removed this division sign by multiplication, and when I do the multiplication sign, the bottom terms will shift to the upper side, that is 8L mu divided by del P R square. So this del P will cancel del P, this 4L mu will cancel this 8L mu, only 2 will left here, and here we will left with R square. So when we will solve these equations, we will left with this 2, will left with this V bar, then this R square minus small r square, and from the bottom side we will end with R square. So from here we get a relationship that V is equal to 2V bar into R square minus small r square divided by capital R square. So we can solve it like this also. V is equal to 2V bar into 1 minus R upon capital R whole square. So if R is equal to 0, then this whole term will equal to 1, because 0 upon R will be 0, 1. So V will be 2 times of average velocity, or the V max, you can say. This is the value of V max. So V max is equal to 2 times of average velocity. So this is all about for today's lectures. It is bit, what I'll say, difficult to follow. You need some spare times, and if you will concentrate, if you will listen me properly, then I am sure you will have no problem. In between there are 2-3 terms that can confuse you. You can text me, or you can even ask on WeChat, WhatsApp anytime. Thank you very much.